Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 163, There Will Be Blood, which is a drama film from 2007. This has an 8.2 on 492,510 votes. The mystery line that we are revealing today is from Finding Nemo. And the line was, "Do or do not. There is no try." And as far as I saw, nobody took a guess at this one. Which is kind of crazy.
Seriously.
But it is from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. We've got 4 colors left. Red, purple, light blue, and dark blue.
Purple.
Let's go home, Debbie. That is our mystery line for this week. So make sure you take your guess. That will be revealed in Fargo. So, the spoiler-free synopsis for this film: ruthless silver miner turned oil prospector Daniel Plainview moves to oil-rich California using his adopted son HW to project a trustworthy family man image. Plainview cons local landowners into selling him their valuable properties for a pittance. However, local preacher Eli Sunday suspects Plainview's motives and intentions, starting a slow-burning feud that threatens both their lives.
So this is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. He's done other movies like Boogie Nights, Heart 8, and Magnolia. This stars Daniel Day-Lewis, Paul Dano, and Kieran Hines.
Yep. So the ratings for this: on IMDb, 26.4% of users rated this at an 8. On Metacritic, it has a 93. Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 91 on 233 critical reviews. So 2 of the fresh. Richard Schickel, one of the most wholly original American movies ever made. I mean, if you mean lying and cheating and doing whatever you want to make your life better, then definitely.
America.
That's definitely the American way. Federico Frazan, a superb performance in one great depiction of greed and evil. Yeah, I'll agree with that one too. So 2 rotten. Kelly Vance, who suggested the John Huston accent. We keep expecting Daniel Plainview to molest a young niece or something.
Oh, Jesus.
I couldn't even, really place the accent, so I don't know. It was just, kind of out there. And then Eileen Jones. This movie makes absolutely no effing sense whatsoever. And it takes almost 3 hours in which to not make any effing sense, and is very loud and chesty about it. I will say this is a man movie.
Yeah.
A man movie. I feel like more men enjoy this movie than women.
Probably.
I'm gonna look at, actually.
That's probably a good thing to look at.
That's exactly what I was about to look at right now. So, actually, yeah, more men overall rated it higher. All ages of men that rated it at about an 8.2 average. Women that rated it at a 7.9. So, across the board, from below 18 all the way to above 45, those groups that they have, men rated it higher the entire time. So this is a man movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is. I don't know about the not making any sense part.
It's a character-driven movie. It doesn't have much of a plot. It's character-driven. I think that's why this person is upset.
Right, it's about a man doing oil stuff. That's about it.
Yeah, it's character-driven. It has no plot, really. I think the whole plot is in the characters, so there's not anything else going on.
True.
So, the consensus. Widely touted as a masterpiece, this sparse and sprawling epic about the underhanded heroes of capitalism boasts incredible performances by leads Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano, and is director Paul Thomas Anderson's best work to date. I will say, they did some great acting in this movie.
Those two, yeah, definitely.
It was great.
But they're good actors, so.
They are. We've seen both of them multiple times now. This is the second time for Daniel Day-Lewis, and then the third time now for Paul Dano, and they've both done great in the movies that we've seen them in so far. So. The money. The budget for this film was $25 million. Opening weekend, it made $190,739. Domestically, it made $40,222,514. Internationally, it made $35,959,031 for a worldwide total of $76,181,545. So quite a bit of money.
Yeah, not too bad.
And then the awards. This did win 2 Oscars, was nominated for won 112 other awards, and was nominated for 137 other awards. So the 2 Oscars that it won were Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Best Achievement in Cinematography. And then the awards that it was nominated for, Academy Awards, were Best Motion Picture, Best Achievement in Directing, Best Writing Adapted Screenplay, Best Achievement in Film Editing, Best Achievement in Art Direction, and Best Achievement in Sound Editing. And in my personal opinion, I feel like Paul Dano was snubbed for at least a nomination.
I would agree.
Because I feel like he did such a great job. He should have at least gotten a nomination.
At least.
So then the Golden Globes. This won Golden Globe and was nominated for another one. So the one that it won, Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, Daniel Day-Lewis. And then the one it was nominated for but did not win was Best Motion Picture Drama. And then the BAFTA Awards. The one that it won, Best Leading Actor, Daniel Day-Lewis. And then it got a lot of nominations. Anthony Asquith Award for Film Music. And then it was nominated for Best Film, Best Screenplay Adapted, Best Supporting Actor, Paul Dano. So he wasn't snubbed in this one, just the other 2. And then Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, Best Sound, and then Best Director. So those are all the ones that it was nominated for but did not win. I honestly think that Paul Dano should have gotten quite a few awards for this movie because he did a great job. I think of the 3, this is my favorite performance from him that we've seen so far. So that's not fair. But that's my own personal opinion.
I'm trying to look up something. There it is.
The movies that we've seen him in on the list were Prisoners and 12 Years a Slave, and then the one that we've seen him in that wasn't on the list was There Will Be Sunshine, or Little Miss Sunshine, not There Will Be Sunshine. So I feel like he should have at least gotten a nomination for an Oscar and a Golden Globe for his acting in these 2 movies, or this movie. God.
He was in Prisoners, too.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I heard you or not.
Yeah, I said Prisoners, 12 Years a Slave, and then this one. This is the third one we've had him in.
Yeah. On the list.
Yeah.
I was looking up who had, like, kind of dominated the supporting actor category that year, and I know why. He got snubbed a lot.
Okay.
Because Javier Bardem, he kicked ass that year. For a movie later on our list, No Country for Old Men.
Gotcha.
That's why.
He still could have been nominated, at least.
True.
So, initial thoughts?
I will admit this is slow.
Yeah,
it's slow. I'll admit it. I got distracted very easily. I was like, okay, I'm bored. This is not interesting me, like, at all. I was playing on my phone half the time. I mean, I was still watching, but it was just not as engaging as I thought it could be. I mean, because I didn't get to finish the audiobook, but I listened to about half of it, and I'm like, okay, so it only takes like a little bit. And I'm like, it was okay to me. Not greatest movie. I could see why people want it on the list and why it did so well at awards, but it's just not my type of movie. It wasn't really for me. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano did a great job acting, but they're the only things really holding the movie together.
Okay.
And the music was alright, I'll say that, but sometimes it was a little too much. But,
okay.
Yeah. That's me, so thought it was okay.
So for me, this is probably one of the best movies that I will never watch again. Like, it was so good, like, so well done, and the acting was really great, and there was a lot of shots that I liked. But for me, it was just kind of slow. And it was really good to watch, and I'm glad that I watched it because now I know, like, kind of what it's about and all that, and, like, why people love it so much. Like, I can definitely see why people love it so much. And there's definitely scenes in there that I do love. But overall, for me, this is a movie I will never watch again.
Same.
That's, like, super, super good. Like, it's just super well done. And the only, like, real fault I find in it is that it's just slow. And I think that's just because it's so character-driven. Because it really is. It's, like, literally about the feud between Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano. So, it's just so character-driven that it's just one of those that, for me, seeing it once is enough.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, I've seen it, good, I can say that I've watched it. That's about it.
Yeah. But, I mean, overall, I did enjoy it, for sure. But I won't watch it again. And I even thought about, like, maybe watching it one more time last night before we talk about it, just so that way I could, like, get anything that I may have missed beforehand. But then I was like, oh, look, Hansel and Gretel is on. I have the ability to watch, or Gretel and Hansel. And I started watching that, and then I fell asleep. So I would have fallen asleep either way, so I wouldn't have gotten very far. So yeah.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So, we start off in, they don't quite say exactly where that I remember. Maybe I was looking down when they said it. Did they say where it was in the beginning?
No, I was
Okay.
paying attention. I really was.
Okay, because I was like looking for, because most of the time when we start off a movie, they say like where it is on the screen and stuff like that, and so I just wasn't sure if they had said where it was. So it's like the late 1800s type area, and we see Daniel Plainview working in his mine, and his silver mine. He's like trying to get silver out and stuff, finding silver ore and everything. And I actually really liked the music at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it felt like horror music to me. It really did. And then the other thing about the beginning that I wanted to talk about was the very minimal dialogue. There was like 2 words at the beginning, the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, there was like nothing.
There was like, he just goes,
the whole point.
"Oh!" at one point. And that's about it. That's like the only words.
Yeah, there wasn't much, like, there wasn't any dialogue for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I thought at first, like, I even paused it like 5 minutes in. I was like, there's no way this is a silent film. Like, I watched the trailer. This is not a silent film. And so I just kept going, and then it gets to the point where they start talking, and I paused it, and I was like, okay, so 15 minutes. Got it.
15 minutes, yeah.
But so Daniel is working in his mine, and he's using dynamite, and he ends up falling back down the mine and breaking his leg. And somehow manages to drag himself out of the mine and into town to sell his silver ore.
I'm like, damn, that is impressive.
Yeah. I was like, okay, don't mess with this guy. Somebody in this movie needs to learn that lesson, cause...
I was like, he's just gonna crawl out of a hole with a broken leg and just, call it good.
Yeah. So, he gets there and sells his stuff, hires a crew, and that includes a man who has an infant son.
Yeah.
And
it says 1902 at this point.
Okay, so yeah, it's gotten a little bit later.
Yeah.
And
I wrote down years.
I didn't.
I focused that much to write down years.
So they go back out to the mine, and they are deciding to drill for oil instead of mine for silver. And Daniel has decided to become an oil man. And the little boy's, the baby that's there, because the dad has nowhere else to take him, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
The dad dies, so Daniel adopts him and names him HW. Which makes no sense. I don't know why he named him that.
I don't know. It's just a name.
I don't know if they ever, explain what HW stands for at all, but, yeah.
I was like, I'm thinking, don't remember? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't remember them saying anything about it, but I think it's more because this movie is about Daniel, not the kid, so.
I mean, it's a cute little kid.
Yeah.
I'll say that. He's cute.
For sure. So, ends up being 9 years later. Daniel's pretty successful in his mining business, or oiling business now. He's switched to oil. And he's running around whatever state he happens to be in, which I don't know where he's at in the beginning.
Yeah.
I do know where he goes. I just don't know where he's at. He's running around just buying property and drilling oil. And, convincing people to sell their land to him. And then there's one day when he runs into this guy, Paul Sunday.
It's Paul.
Is Paul Dano. It's really confusing because I think they're supposed to be twins. Because it doesn't show any real signs of being multiple personality disorder. I think it's literally
it's identical
twins.
It's identical twins, yeah.
Just so confusing.
Identical twins. I make sure to use different speech patterns, different way he acts to do the both brothers.
Yeah, but I mean, even still then, like, I know a lot of identical twins, and I can still tell them apart. So for me, seeing Paul Dano just play two characters in a movie that are supposed to be twins, it was a little bit confusing. But so Paul Sunday comes and talks to Daniel, and he's like, I know somewhere that you can go get oil in California, and there's so much oil, and these farmers don't even know that they're, like, sitting on top of this oil.
He's like, I want money for my information, though.
Yeah. And I think, really, he's just, like, trying to get away. Like, trying to go out on his own, do his own thing. And he doesn't want anything to do with his family anymore. Because I don't really remember, like, after he takes Daniel
he doesn't
there,
show up again.
He's, like, gone for like, no, we don't see him again.
Yeah, he's gone for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so they're out there. Daniel and HW end up getting out there, and they're talking to the Sunday family, Abel and Eli, which is Paul's twin brother. And they're like, well, we heard reliable information that there's, we can, like, make a business deal out of this. So Daniel and HW kind of go out around the area after they've talked to Abel and Eli, and they're deciding whether or not that if they can mine for oil there or drill for oil there, and they find signs of it or something.
Because they're on the premise that, we're just out shooting for quails.
Yeah. And it seems like really that HW wants to learn. He wants to know about this whole business of what his dad is doing. Like, he wants to know everything.
Yeah, and HW is the one who actually finds a little bit of the oil that's seeping up.
Yeah. And they're telling Abel and Paul that they want to buy some of their land so that they can drill for oil. And Eli's like... Or not Paul, sorry. Eli.
Eli.
They're telling Abel and Eli that they want to drill there. And Eli's, well, I want $10,000 to build a new church. I'm like, okay. And Daniel is like, well, all right, if that's all I gotta pay, that means I don't have to pay any future investments on what I'm gonna be finding down there. So he's like, all right.
Sure.
Yeah. So he pays half of the money up front, and then he says he'll pay later, like he'll pay the other half once the oil derrick produces something.
Yeah, and he goes into, like, I don't know, this land place or something. He's like, okay, what are the other, like, land around there so I can buy it up?
Yeah, he wants all the land that's around there. And then there's one land that the guy who owns it wants to talk to him. Like, he's refusing to sell it. He wants to talk to Daniel. And Daniel's like, well, I'm going to let him stir for a little bit. And then he just never goes and talks to him. Till, like, way later in the movie because he forgets. And so...
he buys up all that land.
Yep. And he buys it all up because he wants to build a pipeline. Because that was, like, part of his dream is... or his dream once he decided to become an oil man is to build a pipeline so that way shipping costs are reduced.
Which makes sense.
So he starts drilling, and Eli wants to come, like, bless the land before they start drilling. And Daniel's like, no.
He does it instead, and that just part, I'm not gonna lie, it cracked me up, because I was still kind of paying attention. I was like, oh snap, this is where it's gonna start.
Yeah, they butt heads a lot. We do find out from Mary, which is Eli's youngest sister, that her dad is not the nicest of people. He beats her if she doesn't pray. That kind of comes in a little bit later. Daniel, like, goes after Dad, yells at him and stuff. It's not that big of a important thing, but he does, like, yell at Abel, and he's like, you're never gonna beat this child again, or something like that. And then also Mary and HW become like really good friends. They play out near the oil derrick like all the time when HW is not out there trying to learn and stuff. So they're just kind of going about their business, drilling oil and stuff. They're getting the derrick going. Eli is getting the church built and stuff like that. And at one point, one of the workers dies down in the well.
Yeah, it gets impaled.
Yeah, and they show it, and I was like, oh my god. Because, like, they go tell Daniel. And then he's like, well, do I know the guy? And he's like, no. And I think he was just... Because he knows most of his workers, just not, like, all of them. He, like, knows the higher-up ones. But he still cares, like, if they die and stuff. But this one, he's not, like, super sad because he died. He's just like, well, crap, now we're out of worker. Which is a stupid way to function, but, you know, it happens. So, and as the guy is telling Daniel, like, what happened, we actually see what happens. And so, like, that little pin thing that, like, goes up and down to drill the oil, they were like trying to change it or something, and it like gets knocked and falls, and it was pretty brutal.
Yeah,
because it's just like a sea of black down there, and then all of a sudden you see red.
You're like, well, somebody's dead.
I verbally was like, oh. Like, I was just watching it by myself, and I just Sean comes and is like, what's wrong? I was like, oh, this movie.
This movie, it made me gasp.
Yeah. So Paul decides to go ask Eli to arrange a funeral for him.
You get to see some of Eli's preaching, too.
Yeah, so this first little bit, it's supposed to be like when he goes to ask Eli about the funeral. And we see him like trying to pray the arthritis away. I'm like, what? I understand that people believe you can pray illness away, but that's just like not in my mindset. Like, I don't think it could happen. So it's just for me. And this is like really where you get to see the greatness of what Paul Dano can do. Like, he does such a good job at acting like a bad preacher.
Yeah, he does.
So, I really liked, even though I don't like do the whole church thing, I really liked his church scenes because you see how good of an actor he is. So after the preaching bit, Eli goes and talks to Daniel and agrees to do the little funeral service. As long as he's allowed to bless the well. Bless the oil derrick. That way, an accident like that can never happen again. So, I think he agrees, or I think Daniel agrees. I don't remember.
He's like, whatever.
Yeah. So, then, the oil well is getting stuff going, so Eli gets his money to start building his church, and he names it the Church of the Third Revelation. So a few days after the accident, the drill finally is able to get like oil pumping, like it finally gets it, but because of the gases that escape like right before it gets to the oil, there's this big huge explosion, and HW was like up there on on the roof of part of the building that the derrick is on.
Kid's just watching.
Yeah, and he's like blasted back and hits his head. And
hits his head pretty hard.
Yeah. So remember in, what was that movie? Come and See, when the kid goes deaf, they kind of do that same like high-pitched ringing and then like the sounding like that same kind of effect there. That makes me feel like I have an ear infection where I can't, like, my ears are all stuffy. So I thought they did a good job with that.
It's with the Come and See, he actually gets his hearing back.
Yeah. But kid
not HW.
Doesn't. No, HW does not. This is one of my favorite scenes, is this derrick explosion right here.
Goes up in flames.
Yeah. It's just like they're like, because they have, it shows later on, there's like some sort of fire pit over there near the derrick, because they have to like make stuff for the derrick or something. Really don't know all the functionalities of an oil derrick, so I don't know. But so because of that like little fire pit, the oil catches, and it's just like, it's almost like a volcano going off, really. Just like fire spurting up into the air, and it burns for a while. And I really, really liked this scene. Like, I thought it was really well done and really well shot. So
I will admit it was a nice scene.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those that, like, just the shot of the oil derrick burning, especially like the oil derrick burning at night, I want like a picture of those scenes. Like, I thought it was really cool. But so, not long after that, we do see that Daniel has 3 oil wells that are, like, pumping oil and doing well. So this is when Daniel gives Eli the 5,000, like the second half of the 5,000 to finish up his church that I was talking about a little bit ago. And because Eli's out there, like, demanding his money, Daniel attacks him.
Gives him so much shit. He's like, he just goes after him. Just like yelling at him. He's hitting him. He's like, you know, why haven't you come and healed my son or something like that?
Yeah. And I will say one common theme that we have had with Paul Dano in these 3 movies is that he gets the shit beat out of him in every single one of them.
It's true. Yeah, he gets his ass kicked in the 3 movies so far, yeah.
I even wrote that down. Dano gets beat up a lot. It was one of my notes I wrote down.
I was like, 12 years of slave prisoners, and now there will be blood.
Yeah. And then in Little Miss Sunshine, he just kind of beats himself up because he's mad. Yeah. So, he gets beat up a lot.
It's like self-inflicted pain.
Yeah. And while Daniel is beating up Eli, he's like making fun of Eli and his supposed power of healing by using the faith, saying that Eli's done absolutely nothing to restore HW's hearing.
Yeah. And then so Eli goes home after that, and he's, you know, it's displacement where Eli lashes out as his dad at that point. He attacks his dad, and he's telling his dad, you know, it's Paul's fault, you know, that why he's here, you know, he's like stupid for letting him come and all that. For letting Daniel come, and Paul's the one who did all of that, helped push them here, and just lashes out at him. I'm like, you got your ass kicked, so you're gonna kick your old man's ass?
Yep. Like, pretty much. That's like, apparently how that works.
I'm like, displacement for you.
Somewhere after all that happens, it's not very long, we see that Daniel has a visitor at his house, and this is a man named Henry, and he is claiming to be Daniel's brother. Half-brother.
Half-brother. Same dad, different moms.
Yeah, doesn't he say brother from another mother? Doesn't he use those exact words?
Yeah, he does.
I'm like, that's a little bit modern, isn't it?
I'm like, isn't this supposed to be like, what, the early 1900s?
Yeah.
I don't think they had that phrase back then.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that was a slip up in continuity right there. Because, like, I was like, wait, did he just really say that? I had to like pause it and go back a sec to make sure that he said that.
Yeah, he used it.
Yeah. So, Daniel, he's a little skeptical at first, but Henry, like, kind of knows details about his hometown and his family and Wisconsin and, like, where he's from and all that. So, Daniel's like, oh, all right, whatever.
He's like, okay, cool. Why not?
Yeah. So, takes him on as his partner. And, Daniel tells Henry that he really doesn't like having partners. He doesn't want other people to succeed. He's the only one that should succeed. But he also says, like, he can't do this work alone.
He's a bit selfish, but he understands he needs to have help.
Yeah. And so they're out. I guess he's like showing Henry around and showing him kind of like the basics of the oil business. And so HW goes snooping through Henry's stuff, and he like finds this journal, but I don't know if HW can read. So I don't know what significance that has other than there's a picture in there. But then of course we don't get told who the picture is of. It's just this woman. So, I really don't know what HW, like, learned or gained from snooping through that stuff. But he is definitely jealous of Henry because of how much attention Daniel is giving him and the fact that HW can't hear, so Daniel has, like, lost his ability to communicate with him. So...
I like the way he communicates.
Like, holds him down and, like, makes him do things.
Well, I like the way, like, HW is like, no, I don't like this guy. I'm gonna light this place on fire.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
And he, like, specifically puts the fire going towards Henry's bed and avoiding Daniel's bed. Because he's like, well, if I get rid of this one, then my dad will love me again. That's his mentality.
It's logic. I mean, it makes sense to a little kid.
Yeah. So, because of that, Daniel decides to send HW to a boarding school in San Francisco.
And he leaves the kid on the train.
Yeah, he says they're going to go on a trip together. Well, as best as he can say that. And then he, like, leaves them. He tells them, okay, you're going to stay here, you're going to sit here. And then he gets off the train, and Daniel's old business partner, like, holds the kid down as he's, like, trying to run off the train to get back to his dad. I'm like, oh my god. And my note for that was, poor kid. I felt so bad for him.
I did too.
But so we don't see the kid for a long time.
Yeah.
So Daniel's, like, going about his business with the wells, and he's getting the pipeline built and everything. And there is one point when there's some competitors that come and are, like, trying to buy the land and the wells from Daniel for $1 million, which $1 million at that point in time,
it's a lot of money.
You can have all this land, all this oil. I don't even care. Give me the money. Like, I'll go find some other oil. I don't even care.
It's a lot of money, but it kind of like tells him to go fuck off in a way.
Yeah,
which is wonderful. Does. I mean, one of my favorite lines is from that, so I'll have to wait.
Okay. And part of the reason that he basically tells them to fuck off is because they are suggesting that Daniel retire to go take care of his son, and then Daniel not so chalantly threatens to kill him.
Love it.
Henry and Daniel decide to go buy the property that Daniel forgot to buy because they need that property to finish their pipeline to building it all the way to the ocean. So they're going out there and, well, actually first they go out to the ocean to see about buying property out that way, because that's where they really need the pipeline to get to. So they're out there surveying the land, and they're going for a swim and stuff. And Daniel's like trying to talk to Henry about back home in Wisconsin, which is where they are supposedly from. And Henry doesn't really seem to be getting the reference. Like, it just kind of goes over his head, and he's like, oh no, I don't think I really know what you're talking about there. And so Daniel's like getting real suspicious and stuff. And there's another shot in there that I really like. When Daniel, after he's like talking to Henry, and he like goes back out into the ocean, and you see him facing the shore and this big wave coming behind him, and he just looks so angry.
He does look angry.
I really liked that shot too. I thought that was a really good one. There's quite a few in here, but that are like super, super good, but those are a couple of them that were my favorite. So that night they're out there, I guess, kind of celebrating the fact that they bought that land. I don't really know, but they're out having some drinks and stuff. And Daniel finally decides, I'm going to confront Henry about not being my brother. So he gets his pistol later that night, and he is holding it to his head, and he's making him confess. And Henry says that no, he's not Daniel's brother, but he knew his brother in Kansas, and decided that when his real brother died, he was going to take over the role and make his way out to California, where Daniel was at, and become his business partner.
It's like, because his brother died of tuberculosis.
Yeah. So, after he admits that, then Daniel kills him.
Shoots him, like, I didn't get this at first. He shoots, like, he turns his head. It looks like he's, like, trying just to mess with him and screw with him. Like, shooting him by his head, just to scare him. But then I'm like, oh, wait, he killed him. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it took me a sec to realize that he actually killed him, too.
Okay, good.
Because
I thought it was just shooting, like, by his ear to make him deaf or something like that.
Yeah. But he, like, shot behind his ear through the back of his head, which you don't see in movies. Like, you don't see someone kill somebody that way.
No.
Normally, it's straight through the middle of the head if they're going to shoot him in the head. So, it was a little bit confusing. I wasn't sure. But I think it was also really well done.
It was well done. I was confused, though.
Yeah. So Daniel makes the deal. He is able to lease the property.
Well, I like how he buried him, too.
Yeah, he did bury him. But before the guy will let him lease the property, he says that he has to get baptized at the Church of the Third Revelation. And also he tells him that he knows that Bandy, that's the guy that he's trying to lease the land from. Bandy tells Daniel that he knows that he killed Henry. And so Daniel has no choice. Like, he has to agree to the terms, because otherwise Bandy will get him arrested, and then, of course, he's going to have absolutely no money.
Yeah. He's like, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah. And so he goes to church, and this is another one that I thought was great acting on both their parts, like, interacting-wise, like, interacting with each other, and just all around a great scene was this church scene. Because we see Eli, he kind of gets his revenge a little bit while he's baptizing. That's in air quotes right there. Daniel.
He's like slapping him around, making him saying he abandoned his kid.
Yeah. And that's a spot that, like, I feel like is quite possibly the best in this whole movie of Daniel Day-Lewis, of his acting, is when he's, like, saying that line of he abandoned his child, because he makes him repeat it over and over, and you can see it. It's, like, getting to him, and he does such a great job right there. I loved that part. So, he gets done violently attacking Daniel. And he has Bandy bring the water over, and they pour it on him and say he's baptized, and he gets a big old hug from the whole church. And Eli also says that Daniel has decided to give them the $5,000 to the church, which is the amount that he actually owed Eli anyways. So, and Daniel has no choice but to say yes.
He's like, sure, yeah.
Yep.
Then after that, they get to start to build the pipeline.
Yep.
Because you see them digging holes, and you see pipe getting laid out into those holes, and you see that HW's back.
Yep, he did get to get to bring HW back. And he has also decided that he is going to keep the interpreter guy that comes with him, because HW is learning sign language. He knows a little bit now, but not a lot.
Yeah, so he's gonna help him teach him sign language.
Yeah, so Daniel's like, well, then I'll go ahead and I'll hire you to teach him, so that way I can interact with him and talk to him and stuff. And the last thing we see before it jumps is HW and Mary are playing, and HW is doing his sign language, and Mary starts imitating him, because she wants to learn too, because she wants to learn how to talk to him. So it's the last thing you see before it jumps to their wedding in the 1920s, late 1920s, I think.
1927.
Okay. And so we know it's them because they're signing to each other, and because it just jumped from them playing to being grown.
Getting married. Aww.
Yep. And so then it jumps to Daniel, and he is drunk.
In a nice fancy house with a bowling alley.
Yeah, and he's shooting his stuff.
Yep.
I guess when you got that much money, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's signing checks and everything, too.
Yeah.
Drunkenly, but he's signing them.
Yeah. So, HW comes and talks to Daniel, telling him that he wants to move to Mexico and start his own oil business. He doesn't want to be Daniel's partner anymore. And, of course, this makes Daniel very, very mad. So he's yelling at him, telling him that he was never his son, so he's disowning him and stuff like that. And
he's you're an orphan.
Yeah. And I think this is really what sends Daniel into the spiral of the end of the movie. I feel in his own way, he really did love HW, and he did everything that he could for him. Even though it may not have been the best options, he did what he thought was best for HW.
It's he tried.
And then HW finally deciding, he wants to go out on his own and do his own thing instead of work for his dad. That just kind of kills it for Daniel, and he's pissed. So he passes out in his little bowling alley in his house.
Yeah. And Eli shows up.
Yeah. Eli comes and he's talking to him, and they're having a conversation about where they're kind of both at in their lives. Eli's saying that he is doing radio preaching now, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
And he tells him that Bandy died, and that his grandson wants to sell the oil drilling rights that his grandfather left to him, that Paul owns, or not owns, but he's leasing those rights. The grandson wants to sell them because the grandson needs money to become a movie star, apparently. And I'm what? And so he has sent Eli to go talk to Daniel about this deal, So that way he can get like the contract or whatever from Daniel. And that was not a good idea.
No, because, like, he's asking for, like, that money to, like, to help secure the deal. And he's like, okay, I'll give you the money if you say you're a fake prophet and, it's all just superstition and all that.
Yeah. And this is Daniel's revenge for the church scene. Because Daniel wasn't saying he abandoned his son loud enough, and so now Eli's not saying the false prophet thing loud enough. So Daniel's like yelling at him, say it louder, stuff like that. So he ends up saying it like several times, and Daniel tells him that he has already taken all the oil from the Bandy property because of like drainage or something, just like the way the ground worked or whatever. And Eli tells him that his radio preaching career was successful, but he went broke because he's made bad investments. And so he was hoping that this was one of them that would be a good investment. But now he's like, well, now I know it's not. And then we get the whole milkshake scene, or like the milkshake dialogue there, where he's like trying to explain the drainage, I guess. Really is what he was trying to explain, I think. I thought it was a funny line, but I was like, I don't really understand what's trying to happen right here.
It's like, I love how he just like lashes out after him.
Yeah. And then he decides to chase Eli around the bowling alley, throwing bowling pins at him, and then eventually killing him with a bowling pin.
Yeah, bashes his head in.
Yeah. And you get a little glimpse of it, and I wasn't expecting to get a glimpse of it because of the death earlier. So.
Nah, let's show all of it.
Yeah. And then the butler comes in and sees what happened, and Daniel says, I'm finished.
That's it.
Yep.
That's where I was like, well, I like the end.
Yeah, the end was really, I liked that last scene, the final interaction between Eli and Daniel, where their feud comes to an end.
Literally, because he freaking bashed his head in.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So, the music for this is done by Johnny Greenwood, and he has 53 composing credits, and he is also the lead guitarist and keyboardist of Radiohead.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is really cool. He is known for The Master from 2012, Phantom Thread from 2017, and You Were Never Really Here from 2017. Then the first thing that he ever worked on was a Radiohead video called Anyone Can Play Guitar in 1993. And then he is currently working on a movie, or like I guess a short film called Working Evolver. Not quite sure what it's about. It didn't really have much in there. But it is a short film that he is working on the music for. And he has been nominated for one Oscar. I don't remember what the Oscar was that he was nominated for. But he was nominated for one. I really did like the music in some parts, like the oil derrick scene. I really liked the, like, when it was burning. I really liked that music then. And then, like, the first 15 minutes of the movie when there's, like, barely any talking. Just the oof. I did like that music. But then there was also some times, like you said, where it was a little bit over the top and too loud, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, it wasn't terrible.
I found what he was nominated for the Oscar.
Okay.
It's another Daniel Day-Lewis movie. It's The Phantom Thread.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the one he's nominated an Oscar for. 2018.
Gotcha. So yeah, I think overall the music was decent for this movie. There was some really good stuff and then some also stuff that I wasn't quite a fan of. So overall, it was decent, we'll say.
Yeah.
Like you had said earlier, this is based on a book called Oil by Upton Sinclair. And it's very different. I was able to finish the book. It's very different. Very, very different. This movie, just like you said, takes the first part of the book.
That's it.
Because the book keeps going and follows H.W.'s character, which is actually, his name is Bunny in the book. Which I liked his name better in the book. I liked that his name was Bunny. But it kind of follows Bunny growing up. Like, he goes to college, and he doesn't go deaf in the book. But he goes to college, and he determines that he really doesn't want to be an oil man. In the end, he determines that. He ends up dealing with a lot of communism at one point, like Russians and stuff like that. I will say that's one movie that I am glad, or not movie, that's one book that I'm glad I listened to instead of read, because I feel like if I had tried to read it, I don't think I would have gotten through it. It was just really slow.
Yeah, I agree.
It was pretty slow, so. I mean, but overall, it was a decent book. I do think I like the movie better, but that's just because it's so well done. But yeah, I don't think I know any other comparison off the top of my head right now from the book. So, trivia?
I got some.
Okay.
This is funny. This is related to one I just talked about earlier. No Country for Old Men. So they were filming right next to each other.
Yeah.
In Texas. And when, in this movie, they were doing they were trying to do, like, the oil derrick fire and, like, all the smoke and that, it messed up a shot in No Country for Old Men, so they had to wait until all the smoke got away.
Wasn't it like an entire day they had to
they had to wait an entire day. I was like, ouch. Yeah, they had to wait a whole day because it messed up a shot. It's like, oh, that's not nice.
Yeah.
But it happens if you're shooting right near each other.
Yeah.
It's true. So, how it mentioned in one of the reviews how it's talked about, like, a John Huston accent.
Yeah.
That's what he was going for.
Oh.
He wanted to model it off John Huston.
Gotcha.
I was like, okay, that's an interesting one to pick, but all right, it works for you. This was interesting. I actually looked this person up. So he does kind of look like him. So how Daniel Plainview is supposed to look kind of like a real oil tycoon.
Huh.
A real one, his name was Edward Doheny.
Huh.
Like, almost like the same kind of thing, you know. Come from Wisconsin and everything. They both tried mining first, but then they went into oil.
Okay.
So that's I think that's where Anderson kind of got the idea of Plainview's character, is from an actual person.
Yeah, because this is, like we said, very loosely based on the book. They only take, like, the first third of the book from there to do anything with this movie. So.
Yeah, it's true. And I like how the fake oil, I mean, you know it's not real oil.
Yeah.
It's just chocolate syrup, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it looks better than, what the hell was that other movie? Hold on, now I gotta look for it.
Was it Wild Tales?
No.
Because that one had some questionable effects in there.
No, the one I'm thinking of is the one where they're driving the trucks and get stuck in the oil.
Oh, that fucking movie.
You know which one I'm talking about. I just don't know what's it called again.
The Wages of Fear.
Yeah, there. Wages of Fear.
Like, one of my least favorite movies on this entire list. The only one worse, the one I hate more than that one is a Hachi.
Yeah, I mean, this oil looks better than Wages of Fear, so... Because that just looked like muddy water.
Yeah, that didn't look good. It was like, this one was, it was chocolate syrup pretty much, which is much better looking than just muddy ass water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's one more I wanted to say. Where is it? Oh, I thought this was cool. So, you know, the adult HW?
Yes.
The guy who played him? He's actually deaf.
Oh, I think... Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because when we get to podcast trivia, I'll talk about it. But yeah, I kind of figured that.
Yes, he really is deaf.
Yeah, because of characters I've seen him play before. I was like, I think that makes sense. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Alright, so where it has been on the list before, and where it's at right now. In 2010, it was number 146. In 2012, it was number 173. In 2014, it was number 184. In 2016, it was number 181. In 2018, it was number 160. And as of today, when we are recording, it is number 149. So it's going down, and then now it's going back up. And
it's going to hover around this spot.
Yeah, I think it's going to stay somewhere around here. Like, it's really hard to tell with this one just because of how much it dropped and went back up. So, like, in the last 10 years, it's dropped 40, but then went back up 40, so...
It'll probably stay around that area then.
Yeah. But yeah, so... Previously, number 163, the 2010 list, The Graduate from 1967, the 2012 list, Finding Nemo from 2003, the 2014 list, The Sixth Sense from 1999, the 2016 list, The Deer Hunter, which is our next film, from 1978, and then the 2018 list, The Thing from 1982, which was our last movie. And then as of today, when we are recording, number 163 is The Sixth Sense from 1999.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hanging around there.
Yeah. So, our podcast trivia. Let me pull it back up. So, director, this is the first time that we've had Paul Thomas Anderson. I didn't look ahead to see if we would have him again. My guess is maybe. I'm just gonna always say maybe for these directors.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I really have no idea. Then acting-wise, I was actually wrong when we were talking about it earlier. As far as Daniel Day-Lewis goes, we have had him in 2 prior movies. The main one we had him in was In the Name of the Father, but then he also had a smaller role in Gandhi. So this is the 3rd movie we've had him in.
Oh, yeah.
Took me Paul Dano. What?
Took me a second. I'm like, oh, yeah, he is in Gandhi.
Yeah, I forgot till I was looking at it just now. Paul Dano, like we said, Prisoners and 12 Years a Slave, we've had him in. So this is our 3rd movie for him as well. Ciarán Hinds. This is the first movie we've had him in on our list that we've actually done.
He'll be coming in July.
Yes, because we will be doing our Harry Potter event in July, and he is in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, which is on our list because he plays Dumbledore's brother.
Aberforth.
Yes. And a couple more movies that I wanted to talk about that he's been in. Justice League, he was in that. It's not a very good movie, but said it anyways. And then we also did this as a special. He was in Frozen. He did voice acting for Frozen.
Yeah, he did.
And then he is also A lot of people, I feel like, will really know him for his role, other than in this movie, they would know him for his role as Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones, because he's in that. And then one other actor that we have had before in our Christmas event is Jim Meskimen. He was in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So that's really cool. And then a couple more actors that I did want to talk about just because I saw them or heard them talk immediately, and I was like, hey, I know who you are. I was very happy that I could place them. Like, I'm getting so much better. Like, I may not know your name, but I could sure name the movie you're from. I'm getting so much better about it. Sean's getting irritated because I'll, like, watch movies and I'm like, you know what that person's from?
Proud of you.
So Kevin J. O'Connor, he played Henry. I recognized him because of his voice immediately. He was in The Mummy. God damn it, what's his name? The, like, 2000 Mummy. Not the old one, but...
Oh, that's Benny.
Yes. He played Benny. I was, like, trying to think of the character's name, and I couldn't think of it.
As he looks different in the movie than his profile picture.
He looks different, but I heard him talking, and I was like, why do I know that voice? And then he got closer to him, and I was like, oh, I know his face. And then I was like, he's, like, I didn't even have to, like, look it up. I automatically knew, just based on his face, that he was from The Mummy. Because I watched that movie.
I know this guy.
I love that movie, so... And then the other one, you had talked about him, the older HW, the adult HW.
Yeah.
He's played by Russell Harvard, and we don't technically have him on the list, but the TV show that's based off Fargo, he's actually in that. And I recognized him, like, they showed his face, and I was like, why do I know that face? And then I was, like, watching, and he was doing the sign language and stuff, and I was like, oh! And he is in the first season of Fargo.
Oh, yeah! It took me a second.
See, I told you, I'm getting good at this.
Go cat.
I told you.
Good cat.
But yeah, so those are some actors that we've had before. Composer, like I said, I don't think we'll have Johnny Greenwood again as a composer. So I think this might be his only composing credit here. And then for the year that this came out, so far, for us, not such a good year for movies. Overall, I do know it was actually a really good year for movies. 2007, so the movies that we've had on the list so far, The Bourne Ultimatum and Into the Wild were the other two that came out in 2007.
Ugh.
But we do have some 2007 movies coming up that, like, really made 2007 a good year for movies. So.
I was like, not those two movies.
No, but.
My personal opinion.
Yeah, my opinion. Well, I was okay with The Bourne Ultimatum, but Into the Wild, I was like,
I was like, don't get me started on that.
And then genre-wise, this is our 67th drama film.
Really?
Yeah, because almost all of them have drama aspects to them, so this is the 67th one that we've done, including event movies that have drama as one of the top 3 genres for it.
Alright.
And then votes-wise, as of right now, this is the only one that has right around 490,000 votes. Just below it, at 485 when we did it, was Jaws. And just above it, at 500,000 when we did it, was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Oh.
So surrounded by some good movies. And then Rotten Tomatoes, the other movies that had a 91% were La La Land, $1 Million Baby, Jurassic Park, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Stand By Me. So, some decent company there. There's some movies that I think are amazing and, like, quite a bit better than this, even though I think this movie was really well done. But still some good company there. And then on Metacritic, this is at a 93 with La La Land and Spotlight. So it looks like its ratings buddy is La La Land.
La La Land.
So yeah, that's all of our podcast trivia for this one. So, favorite line?
That was one goddamn hell of a show. I'm gonna bury you underground. I don't like to explain myself. I like to hear you speak, not your little dog. Woof, 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 woof.
Oh, yeah.
And then, do you think God is going to save you for being stupid? He doesn't save stupid people. And then this one's my favorite of the whole one. One night, I'm going to come to you inside of your house, wherever you're sleeping, and I'm going to cut your throat.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
So mine are, I don't belong to one church in particular. I like them all. I just thought that was funny as his way around, like, saying, I don't go to church.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why don't I own this? I was like, that's a very rich man thing to say.
It is.
I'd like you to tell me that you are that you are and have been a false prophet, that God is a superstition. And then the other one that I liked, that I really just wrote it down because it was a Game of Thrones reference to one of my absolute favorite characters in Game of Thrones. I'm no one. And if you know Game of Thrones, then you know who that is, so.
I don't. I don't know Game of Thrones.
But
other people do.
Yeah, I was to say, anybody listening will, if they've seen Game of Thrones and know, or even read Game of Thrones, because it's a reference to both, so.
Oh, nice.
That's one thing that they kept consistent through both of them, is that. So, I think, technically, I picked the last one, because the last one that we actually picked was Finding Nemo, because we had our guests pick our last one. So, yeah. You get to pick this one.
Ugh. I don't know.
I really liked the second to last one that you said. I think that one's my favorite.
The stupid people one?
Yeah.
Do you think God is going to save you for being stupid? He doesn't save stupid people? That's a good one. I like it.
Okay, so we'll go with that one. Alright, so what is your rating?
I'm giving this a 6. I'm giving it a 6. Kind of like I said earlier, I just got bored easily, and I got distracted easily, and it's just slow. But there's some really good acting in here. Really, there is really good acting in here. Again, music. I like music most of it. And the cinematography, I really like that. There's some really, really good shots in here. And the end kind of helped me push it up a little bit more. So, and I was looking at my other big Daniel Day-Lewis movie, and I was like, okay, I gave that one a 5, and I like this one better, so I had to bump it up higher than that. So, it's just a 6 for me.
For me, I gave it an 8, and that's, like I said earlier, this is one that I think is an absolutely amazing movie that I will never watch again. It was really well done. The acting is great. Cinematography is great. Like, there's just so much about this movie that's just really well done that I can't really give it anything lower than that just because I think it's so well done. But the reason I did give it that low is because my 9s and 10s are reserved for movies that, like, I absolutely love and will continually watch on repeat without getting tired of them. That's what my 9s and 10s are reserved for. And I feel like this is just, like I said, one that I can't watch again. Even though it's so good.
You're like, I'm good, I watched it, I can say I've watched it, we're done.
Yeah, I can say I've watched it, and I can actually say that I liked it, because I did like it. It was really well done, and it was entertaining. And yes, it was a little bit slow, but I mean, it made up for it in different parts, and it was really good, so. But it's just one of those that I can't put up there with my 9s and 10s, because those are, like, some of my absolute favorite movies. Yeah, so this one is gonna be an 8 for me. So, our next film is The Deer Hunter from 1978. And I believe that one is over 3 hours.
Yep, it's just a little over 3 hours.
Okay. But I have also heard that one's pretty good, so we'll see how that one goes.
I mean, just the big actors in it are like Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
So, some big actors in there. I mean, Meryl Streep's in there, too. So, should be interesting. Never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, so.
I'm keeping an open mind.
So, that will be out next week. And then our event coming up is our Harry Potter event. And that will be out at the end of July. And the ones that we will be talking about, we only have 2 main Harry Potter movies left. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. And like we said earlier, Part 2 is on our list, but we just skipped it to save it for this event. We will be having our 2 guests back for that one. So we'll have all 4 houses represented. And then we are offering Premium and Patreon. If you would like to become a Premium or Patron member, the links are in the show notes. You can subscribe for just $1 a month. And that money helps us pay for the website. Our special episode that we are doing for Premium and Patron members for the month of May is one of the movies that I was kind of surprised wasn't on the list, the top 250 list. And that is Jumanji, the Robin Williams one. So that will be out on May 31st. So in just a few weeks. Actually, just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And if you're not a Premium or Patron member and would like to check out that episode, it is going to be available for just $1, so you can get it if you'd like. If you can't support us that way, then you can always leave ratings and reviews. That help us out, or those help us out a lot. Ratings and reviews let us know how we're doing, what you guys think, what you like, what you don't like. Help us kind of get better. Stuff like that. And if you'd like to talk to us, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or you can email us. All the links are in the show notes. Our music is by Audio Benger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobenger.net. So until next time with The Deer Hunter, thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.